Hi, this is Luke Zip from Crocker Farm Auction, and I'm here with an exciting new discovery in American redware that we will be offering in our March 23rd, 2019 Stoneware and Redware auction. So the thing that, for me, is most gratifying about our business is we have, over the last 15 years, gotten to be the first people to handle and to introduce to the collecting and scholarly community amazing new discoveries of American stoneware and redware. It's something that I don't take for granted, that pretty much every single auction, there's new pieces being unearthed and discovered, and we're the ones who first get to hold it, get to quantify it, and introduce it to the public. So this is one such example. I remember in the fall, I was actually away on a business trip, and I got notified by one of my brothers that this piece had been emailed to us, and they made connections. They immediately recognized its significance, and it was very exciting. So let me just describe it first. It's just a beautiful redware tea canister. The form is recognizable as something very prevalent in the 18th century, even going back early 18th century in porcelain, especially Chinese export porcelain. But then you will find American silver tea canisters. And we have sold a few redware tea canisters. We sold an outstanding Manhattan stoneware tea canister in the last auction. It's really an 18th century form. It's an early form, and very unusual in American redware. And as you can see, the whole thing is decorated with different brushed manganese slip over just a yellow slip, lead glazed redware, different floral decorations, even decorated on the top. Potter's knives to flatten out each side, beautiful rolled spout. But what's so cool about this piece is its inscription on the bottom, and it reads, so it's a partial inscription, but I'll tell you how we know exactly what it says in a moment. It says tea canister made September 22nd, 1846 on the bottom. So it was a complete inscription, but as you can see, it was used and the base got a little wear. But the cool thing, the significance of this piece is, well, in addition to just being a beautiful piece of American redware, it was originally paired with a known piece, and again, Mark, my brother, immediately recognized, a known piece that was part of the Ezra collection at the American Folk Art Museum, but then sold later at Sotheby's in 2014. This canister right here is inscribed with that exact inscription. So let me show you. I think they have this side pictured. Near identical tea canister, and that's inscribed, tea canister made September 22nd, 1846. So it's awesome that, number one, we know the form. Number two, we know that it was one of a pair with a fairly legendary piece. But number three, there is a pair of tea canisters that are very similar in form, in decoration. They're less elaborate. They're dated 1848, so you can imagine 2 years later, just the general flow of production. You make your best stuff, most elaborate stuff first, and then you start cutting corners and make objects a little less elaborate. There's a pair of tea canisters in the collection of Colonial Williamsburg with a full inscription saying that they were made by E. White in Mercer, dated 1848. So doing some research, but they couldn't figure out in their inscription, in their catalog description, what that inscription referred to, who it referred to. We did a little research and found that there was Ezra White, who was a potter in Mercer County, Pennsylvania, in this town of Mercer, and that is like northwest Pennsylvania, like north of northwest of Pittsburgh. But he was clearly an extremely skilled potter and one who was very aware, very much self-aware that he was producing beautiful objects and presentation objects, ones that should be cherished and should be linked to him as the craftsman. What's very exciting is, I think because of this research, because of this one piece, we can extrapolate and attribute other objects to Ezra White's manufacture. I'm sure there could be a larger body of work attributed to this very skilled potter, in addition to the pieces both in Colonial Williamsburg and formerly in the American Folk Art Museum. This is, we often have pieces that are very much museum quality examples of American stoneware and redware. And this is one such example. It tells a great story, but the cool thing is it's also really the beginning of a great story. People think, when they think of Pennsylvania redware of this period, 1840s, you're thinking of John Bell. He was the most prolific in terms of known examples, extant examples that are signed or attributed to him. A lot of people just automatically go there, or to other more regional potters in southeastern Pennsylvania or south central Pennsylvania. But the redware potting industry in northwestern Pennsylvania is one that I think bears a lot more research, a lot more attention, a lot more focus being paid to it, because just really of these known examples that are extremely high quality, especially for the period, a period when mass production had already begun in major cities, when potters like Edwin Bennett were making fine Rockingham yellowwares that were replacing lead glazed earthenware because of its known hazards to the health. And here we have a man still making pottery, redware, both in a form that harkens back to the 18th century and also just in a means and a style that harkens back to the 18th century and early 19th century as well. It's a great new discovery. It's one that was purchased fairly close to its region of manufacture in Punxsutawney, Pennsylvania, about 40 years ago. But the owner just recently contacted us, and we are thrilled to offer it in our March 23rd Stoneware and Redware auction.